Welcome everyone to another lecture of our botany class. In this class, we'll start with the new chapter that is viruses. We have already listened this term many times. What are viruses? Here, viruses, they are unique group of biological entities. They are a unique group of biological entities. They are acellular, that is without cell. They are acellular and they are very small tiny particles. Viruses are very small acellular tiny particles and they are inert lifeless molecules. They are also called as inert lifeless molecules. They doesn't react. When they are outside the bodies of the living organisms, they are inert and lifeless. These viruses are known to infect every type of cell. They are known to infect every type of cell, be it human cell, be it animal cell, be it a plant cell. They can even infect the smallest cell, that is the bacterial cell. It is known that bacterial cell is the smallest cell. Bacterial cell or the bacteria is the smallest living organism. These viruses are capable of infecting even the tiny particle that is in a small or microorganism that is bacteria. So, here these viruses are known to infect every type of cell including bacteria, algae, fungi. Apart from plants, they can even infect, apart from that is plants, animals, human beings, they can even infect fungi also, they can even infect algae, they can even infect bacteria. Bacteria and algae, they are very small microorganisms. So, even those small microorganisms can also be infected by viruses. Though they are very small, though these viruses are very small molecules or very small particles, but here they are known to infect all the living organisms. They are known to infect all living organisms. When they infect now, they cause harm. When they infect, they cause harm to the living organisms. So, why viruses are different? In what way viruses are different from other organisms? First is they are not composed of cell. The first and the foremost difference between viruses and other organisms, even the virus and the other smaller tinier microorganisms, the first thing is viruses are not composed of cell. Viruses are not composed of cell. Bacteria, it is composed of cell. Algae, they also have cell as the basic unit. Fungi, they also have cell. Multicellular, or that is plants, animals, human beings, we are all multicellular, we have cell. But here the difference is these viruses are not composed of cell and they cannot be seen under light microscope. These viruses are very tiny particles. We cannot see them under any light microscope. For seeing these light particles or the smaller particles, we require an electron microscope or very high power, high magnifying power instrument. So, that is without electron microscope we cannot see them. We cannot see them with ordinary microscope. So, they are not composed of cell, cannot be seen under light microscope and they contain either DNA as the genetic material or RNA. It can have either DNA as the genetic material or it can have RNA as the genetic material. Both DNA and RNA cannot be found in a virus at a single time. It can either have DNA as the genetic material or it can have RNA as the genetic material. And here they maintain genetic continuity. then if they are not composed of cell, because if they are living organisms all have cell, but if they doesn't have cell, then how they are able to continue from one generation to another generation, how they are able to replicate, how they are able to multiply. They are lifeless outside the bodies of the living organisms. They are lifeless, they cannot reproduce, but still they are able to continue its generation, they are able to maintain its continuity. How? By infecting the other organisms. They infect other organisms and enter, that is they infect the other organism and they multiply in other organisms and reproduce. So, they maintain genetic continuity through multiplication. Multiplication inside the bodies of the other organisms. They can be best described as infectious particles. One of the best way to describe virus, what is actually virus? We can describe it as infectious particle. Viruses can be described as infectious particle. So, that is they are known to infect the other living organisms. Already said they are known to infect other organisms, all living organisms. So, that is why we can term this virus as infectious particles. They are obligate intracellular parasites. They are obligate intracellular parasites. Parasites, we all know what are parasites. Parasites are the organisms which lives inside the bodies of the host. They feed on them and they cause diseases, or harm or disturbance in the host. Parasites are the organisms which lives inside the bodies of the host cell. This host can be the plant, or it can be animal, or it can be human beings, or it can be bacteria, it can be any living organism. So, it lives inside the bodies of the host and it feeds on the food material from the host cells and it causes harm to them. So, such organisms are called as parasites. We can even term viruses are parasites, obligate intracellular parasites. That is, they cannot multiply, they cannot reproduce, they cannot produce new viruses unless and until they invade a specific host cell. They cannot multiply itself or reproduce itself until and unless they infect a specific host cell. This host cell can be either plant or animal or human beings or bacteria, algae, it can be anything. And it instructs its genetic material and metabolic machinery to make progeny. So, while infecting it will give the instructions to the genetic material, because we said viruses does not have cell, viruses are not composed of cell, but they have genetic material. So, these viruses can be termed, we cannot say viruses as the living organism and we cannot even say it is as non-living organism. It is a link between living and non-living, because when it is outside the bodies of the living organisms, virus acts as non-living thing, but when it is inside the bodies of the living organisms, it reproduces, it releases the DNA inside the host cell. The viruses releases its genetic material, whatever it is, whether it is DNA or RNA, inside the host cell. Now, inside the host cell, the DNA and RNA will multiply and produce new viruses. So, that is why they are called as obligate intracellular, inside the living cells, that is intracellular parasites. Viruses are best described as infectious particles. They are even called as obligate intracellular parasites. That why? Because they will be in, that is, they enter a specific host cell and multiply inside the host cell, thereby causing the disturbance or harm to the host cell, or they even cause the disease in the host cell. Now this was about the introduction of viruses, that is they are the tiny lifeless, they are the tiny particles, they are inert and they are known to infect all living organisms, and they are called as infectious particles, and they are even called as obligate intracellular parasites. Now coming to the discovery of viruses. The virus was first observed by Dmitry Ivanovsky. Here he is a Russian pathologist. Dmitry is a Russian pathologist. So while he took the diseased tobacco mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic plant. He took the diseased tobacco mosaic leaf and filtered the sap. Filtered sap of diseased tobacco leaf. Now he filtered the sap in a filter, and that filter was designed to retain bacteria. That filter was designed to retain bacteria. It was designed in such a way that bacteria should not pass through that filter. Bacteria should not, even bacteria, the smallest organisms, can also not pass through the filter. So he took the diseased tobacco mosaic leaf, he made the sap of that leaf, okay, and he put that sap into a filter, and that filter was designed in such a way that even bacteria cannot pass through that filter. Bacteria being the smallest organism, it also cannot pass through the filter. Now he introduced that filtered one, the filtrate. After filtering the sap of the diseased leaf, he introduced that filtrate. The filter ones, the ones which we got after the filter, he introduced that filtrate into another tobacco mosaic plant, or into another tobacco mosaic leaf of the plant. Now after some time there was the development of symptoms. Even in the different plant, the new plant in which the filter was administered, the sap of this diseased plant was filtered and injected into another leaf of another plant. Infected tobacco mosaic virus leaf was filtered, and that filtrate was injected into new plant. Diseased plant was filtered, diseased leaf was made into sap, it was filtered, and that filtrate was injected into new leaf of plant, different tobacco plant only. Now in this new plant, earlier there was no symptom of the disease, earlier there was no disease in that plant, plant was not showing any symptom, plant was disease free. Now after injecting this filtrate into this new plant started showing symptoms of this disease, tobacco mosaic. New plant started showing symptoms. So now he concluded that infectious agent, that is something is there which has passed through that filter. Something is there, some particle is there which has passed through that filter, and that passed particle has infected the other plant. He unable to see what it is, he called it as filterable agent. Now another scientist, Martinus Beijerinck, he called that infectious or filterable agent. He called that filterable agent as contagious living fluid. He called the filterable agent as contagious living fluid, and he gave that name, he gave a name to that fluid, that is contagium vivum fluidum. Contagium vivum fluidum. Another scientist, W.M. Stanley, he purified the sap. He purified the sap and announced that it can be crystallized, that the particle or the infectious or this one filterable agent can be crystallized. He called that filterable agent as TMV, that is tobacco mosaic virus. W.M. Stanley, he purified the sap and announced that that filterable agent can be crystallized, and he gave it a name as TMV, that is tobacco mosaic virus. Dimitri, he just said that after filtering the sap, and injecting into another plant, and when the new plant got the disease, he called, because the new plant got the disease. So now after seeing those symptoms, he announced or he observed that there is something which has passed through the filtrate and is causing the disease in the new plant. So he was unable to see that one, a particle which is causing the symptoms, which is causing the disease. So unable to see it, that Dimitri named it as filterable agent. This was further researched, and another scientist, Martinus Beijerinck, he called that infectious or filterable agent as contagious living fluid, and a name was given, that is contagium vivum fluidum. Later onwards, another scientist, W.M. Stanley, he further purified the sap. He further purified the sap and announced that the particle can be crystallized and called it as TMV, that is tobacco mosaic virus. Another scientist, Frankel Conrad, he confirmed that the genetic material of tobacco mosaic virus is RNA. So inside the inside the viruses, the genetic that is this virus, tobacco mosaic virus, the genetic material which is present is RNA. So this was the first discovered virus, that is TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. Now after that is after research was continued, and because of the advancement in the technology, that is by these methods of ultracentrifugation, X-ray crystallography, and by this introduction of very powerful magnifying electron microscope, for new viruses, many other types of viruses was discovered. But the first virus which was discovered was tobacco mosaic virus. So we have seen the introduction as well as the discovery of virus. And one more point, the study of viruses. Study of viruses is called virology. The study of viruses is called as virology. In the next class, we will see the morphology of virus and that is different shapes and structure of virus.